Okay, welcome back to the second part of the forum. I would like to introduce Carrie Reichardt, who I have had the pleasure of working with over a number of years, and I think so have some of you actually on various projects. But she's here today to talk about her latest project, which is for the ceramic biennial, called Mad in Stoke. Hello. Obviously, it's a real honour to be here. It's always a privilege to be invited to talk at BAMM, so I'm very happy to be here. I'm sorry I'm not actually going to talk about both of those projects because there just wasn't time to do them justice. But pushing boundaries, I'd like to think that I was pushing boundaries at the Ceramics Biennale by getting this project in. So here goes. So it's Mad in Stoke, Rave on. This is the story of me doing an art car for the British Ceramics Biennale. For anyone who doesn't know, though I know most of you know, I live in a mosaiced house. I have two other mosaiced cars. This one is the Tiki Love truck, huge backstory. But the thing is that truck took 3 months and it took a team of about 6 people working 6 days a week to make it. It was a huge team effort. I have the Voodoo Zulu Liberation Taxi. Again, this took a team of people. It took 3 months to make. In fact, it took me 2 months in Philadelphia just to make the ceramic components. So I have this history of making mosaic cars, but not the one that I was going to make for the British Biennale. How did it come about? Well, I'm not sure whether you'll know, but there was a film called Human Traffic, which is really the kind of film about the rave culture. And in that film, there is this car, which is a Ford Zodiac. And at the time, I was asked by Fatboy Slim if I could do a project where he was going to get 5 different artists. They were each going to get a big budget, and they had to make something about the rave culture. And this was going to go in a huge interactive show. And me and my excitement, I only had about 2 months to make it. I tracked this car down. It was the only car of its kind. I told him I need to buy it. He said, buy it. I bought it. 3 days later, the whole thing was cancelled due to COVID. But he gave me the money. So that's the story of how the car was never owned. He never drove it. He just gave me the money for the car. But that's not what you'd see if you see the press. So just so you know, I'm probably really hated because I had this car on my forecourt for about 3 years rotting. And it actually is a very unique car. You can see the one I bought was one of only 2,000. And when I got it, it sat indoors since 1991 to be left inactive for 3 years in the rain. But anyway, but I had a history of working with Rave and doing stuff. This is a bumper car that I mosaiced. I'd done other stuff. So it's something I was interested in. It was something that I'd worked with. I've often used all of that, those symbols because I love them. I work in my other work. Here you go. I'm always adding the smiley face. And so here you are. Here's the car. Some years later, sitting on my forecourt, thinking, what am I going to do with it? And the Biennale came up. For about the last year, maybe a bit longer, I've been working with the Duchess China factory. This is Jason, who owns it, and this is Darren, who runs a community arts group. And the Duchess factory is one of the oldest bone china factories in Stoke-on-Trent, dating from 1888, but it was actually bought out in 2019 by former employees. Jason actually also owns Heraldic Pottery, has done for 20 years, who print. They are a specialisation in making prints that you use in ceramics. So I'd worked with him for 20 years. He took over the Duchess and said, Carrie, come here, do what you like. You know, we want to work with you. I said, well, why don't we do this art car? Because what I didn't know till I talked to Darren and I talked to Jason, who's an old raver like me, is that Stoke for 2 years was the epicentre for rave. So it had this history. So I pitched this idea. This was literally my drawings that I pitched to the British Ceramics Biennale, and they actually went with it. So suddenly I'm going to do this job for the Biennale, which I have to tell you, they don't pay you to do it. They give you £1,000, which just about covered the cost of getting that car up there. So this is me at the Duchess showing my ideas. And originally I was going to mosaic it and I was going to tile it, And then I was working with the Duchess, and I was thinking, I don't really have time. I've got all these other projects. And I thought, I know what, they should make plates. They're the factory. We'll get them to make all the plates, make all the pills. Can't take me very long just to fill it in, because I never learn. So I went there and spoke to them, and we agreed it. And obviously I wanted to express that I really do have a love of rave. Just to prove the point, this is me. This is my Frenzy nightclub in '89. When they were partying in Stoke, I was going to Blackpool every weekend because I was at Leeds Polytechnic, getting every Thursday. And like it says there, I am one of the dungaree-wearing people. This is me at one of the first ever weekenders on the orbital scene, Pontins. I can't really say that, though. But so yeah, I wanted to, and I'm conscious of the fact that some of you won't know what that was, what that rave scene was. So I found a little film which I think captures that whole scene. It's my favourite film, so it should play, hopefully. But
are you guys gonna stop ever? Or are you gonna keep dancing forever?
I'm keep dancing forever, me. Well, at least I can't remember where I put my car.
And so, I don't know what that bit's there for, but basically, having found myself dancing once around a car alarm in Blackpool, 5 in the morning, like this, I thought this was quite, it would show you what it was like. But what I did first is, after I'd finished this huge project in St Helens, I went to the Duchess and stayed up in Stoke for a week. And what that means, for me, it was like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, it was like, oh my God, because I got to go around all of their storerooms, I got to go, this is all their archive. The Duchess has all the old print from making all the old pottery stuff. You can see all of it there. And they also have all the old pattern books. So they have pattern books from 1920s where they're all hand-drawn, beautiful. In fact, later on you'll see how I incorporated this into the work. You can see here, isn't it fabulous? Look, 1937. And it's got to be said that the Duchess is not, it's still run in the old-fashioned ways. They haven't brought in all 3D printers and stuff. They've got old guy who's 76, who's still making them, who's still trying to train people, because the whole ethos is to keep the skills that they originally had going and to encourage young people to come into the industry, which is why we've always got on so well. So this was me. I got to work in the factory. I got these plates. The two things I realised when I worked in that factory is that heat is so incredibly important. I never worked with heat, but this is a heat. So you heat the plates up, and so when you put your transfers on, they're more, usable. They kind of melt a bit. The other thing I discovered is light, because they had really great light, and I realised how stupid I am, because I always work in darkness and I can't quite see. So I was there making these plates, and each plate is supposed to tell like a little story of, something about the place of Longton, about the Duchess, and about Rave. Oops. I think, no. Here is a little video. There's supposed to be sound with these films, but just to show you that process of layering things with transfers. These are ceramic transfers that are made, that you lay onto the surface of the plate. And you have to build them up on layers. You can only do one, fire it, and then put another one onto the top of it. But it just shows you some of that process, And the great thing there is they have a conveyor belt where they fire all these within an hour. So it goes around and comes back out. So I don't know what's happened now. Okay, so this is just a few selection of some of the plates. So you can see, that they tell these little stories. I love this one because Shelley's was this nightclub that, the building had been there forever. It'd been an ice rink and various things. But they put £120,000 laser system in there. And I love the fact that all these local places, look, the photography for the disabled north, all of them are, you know, saying well done. So you can see how much it was embedded in this little town of Longton, what it meant with all of these different organisations and companies and potteries all supporting it. This one tells you all about DJ Sasha, who, if you were into that stuff, you'd know he's a big person who was in there. This one tells you that it's still going. They still have a rave scene. You can still go out and rave all once a month there. And you can see things like, this one just tells you about the potteries. You can see the Duchess, all the different back prints. So I went there, I'd made these plates. Meantime, they're making me a load of pills, which was very, very funny. I have lots of emails I were nearly used in this talk that said, yeah, I need 20 more white ones. And, do you know what I mean? And here's me. He made me scrub out Prince Andrew because they do all the royalty crockery. So I spent a week there and I came back to London, and knowing I had like a month to make this car in. This is Darren, sorry, not Darren. This is Sam, a man who can. At the time, I originally had the car to be towed up, and they came to tow it up to Stoke because I stupidly thought I'd make this in Stoke. I don't know why, but luckily the car wouldn't move. It's just the wheels wouldn't move. I paid 300 quid for them not to take my car away, and I was literally like crying. And to me, I am one of those people that's the end of the project. It doesn't move. What am I going to do? But luckily, this guy, he came along and said, I love old cars, I'll get it working. And he did everything. Talk about substructures. He made all of it possible by doing the rusty, getting it to move. He was the man that made it all happen. So very grateful to him. So one of the other things is before I can even start this car, I've got to make all the tiles, because people don't realise when they look at the car that I didn't make the tiles, but I make the colours. So I take white tiles, I take grey tiles, I take light pink tiles, and I layer them all with an anglaise, like a piece of pink, so I can make all these shades of tiles. These were actually all waste from the last project, because I can't say anything about environmental stuff because I'm rubbish at it, but I do try to use up my old waste. The same with, this was a beautiful print. It was called the Julia print. I fell in love with it because it's so kitsch and so lovely, that I got them to send me loads and loads of their old vintage print, and I just started layering it onto tiles that I'd made, the pink tiles. It's just to create all that wonderful range of colour. And so I was supposed to start on the Monday, okay? Monday was my D-Day to start, but I was on my own because my assistant Sean wasn't there, and I literally burst into tears and thought, I can't do it, I don't know what I'm doing. Because I've mosaic put tiles onto car, but not ceramics. It was a whole different ball game. I didn't really know what I was doing, and so the Monday I gave up, went home, Netflixed and played with transfers, and then the next day Sean came. And I was so desperate to start. I was like, I've got to start. I've got exactly 23 days to make this whole car. Let's just shove all the plates on the front. That will get us started, which is what we was going to attempt to do. So how I was feeling was, this is how I felt. It's challenge, Carrie, and DIY SOS, get all your friends in. So this, I'm going to show you, this is us, the very first bit of us starting. There should be noise. I got my friend Sam to cut a hole in to set the big bowl because it was just too wide. It was like a bath bowl in the middle of it. So we had to cut a circle in. This is a 3-part epoxy adhesive, if anyone's interested. You can see doing it just done it on the outside, on the street. So this is me starting it, thinking, great. It was the biggest disaster ever because I stuck all those plates and then realised I had to mosaic around them. And I could have just drawn around the plates, mosaiced it, and then stuck the plates on. So that cost me about 5 days' work by, you know, because I'm not very good at standing back and thinking, what's the best way to do this? I was much more like, oh my God, let's just stick things on. Quick, we've got the plates on. So it was a complete disaster, just so you know. For those who are interested, we were using, I think it's Lapoxy 3-part adhesive. Yep, it's a nightmare because we can't mix it all in one go. Because you may have not know, but at this time it was very hot, so we could only make up small batches, and it involves great big syringes and mixing it all up in little bowls and working with it. It's horrible stuff to work with. You can see here there were endless problems that we had to overcome, like how do you cut a plate to stick around a bumper? You do it with a wet saw, but you know that thing breaks every 2 seconds, so you know it was like, it wasn't easy. So, and you can see here, so that's where this plate is stuck down, and then we have to kind of stick all the tiles around it. I like doing the bumper because that was easy. It's like, let's do the easy bits. One of the other easy bits was just to do the roof. That was great. That went on really quick. I wish I'd have done the whole lot in circles. It would have saved a lot of time. But as you can see, you've got all these little gold bits. So I was like trying to, there is loads of little touches in it that you can't really see unless you go see it. But the genius thing is that my assistant reminded me that we can make templates, because I was about to stick all those plates down the side. Thank God she stopped me. It's a shame she didn't stop me at the beginning, but sometimes I'm unstoppable. But yeah, so basically we worked out we could just do templates, and that's, you know, enabled us to get it done on time. So here you can see we have it on, made a template, we made it on netting, we mosaiced it, and then we could then go out and put it onto the car. You'll notice that we were also trying to work day and night, which nighttime is a disaster, I can tell you. Everything I did at night, I had to redo the next morning. I was showing you those beautiful designs. While I was at the factory, they said to me that they would make me some gold transfers. This is 22 karat gold transfers, and I had 4 hours with a designer for him to lift the designs from those beautiful things and make gold line drawings of them, which are then, you can see, all meticulously cut, and then all have to be on the everywhere. So, you know, by day I was mosaicing, and by night I was filling up kilns with tiles and things. So here you can see they all get layered onto the plates. So those plates have actually been in a kiln 3 times. You know, they're multi-layered. But we got 20 days to go, and I'm fraught. And it's like, I've got to call in the A-team. You know, they say it takes a village to raise a child. Well, it takes a whole community of very talented artists to pull off one of my pieces of art, I can tell you. So we did. This is Karen, Francesca. This is ATM Street Art. These are the people I've been working with. I went to college with Karen. I did my degree with her. We formed an community arts group in 1998, and we're still working together. So, and that's Sean, who's been my assistant for over the last decade. So yeah, Karen came to help all the nasty bit that I'd set up by having to go around plates. There you can see in the studio, you can see we have our lovely gaffer tape. Couldn't do it without gaffer tape. You've also got the problem when you're doing something like this is that you have to stick that up and leave it for 24 hours. You can't do the next bit underneath it till the first bit. We're literally counting how many days. How many days can I get this in? There's the strip that goes in between. 16 days to go. And look, at least we get Tam. 1 day with Tamara's, like 5 days of any other mosaic artist, I can tell you. This is, can you put the sound on for this? This is, if it works.
Now we're on it like a carve on it.
funky. Yeah. Yo, get funky.
You can always see it on Instagram. Here are other people coming to help. This person only has, I think, about 10% vision. She came with her mother to help. So, you know, it's really lovely. It is a real community thing. I did have lots of people come to my studio and help me do it. Just to give you some context, that was the weather. And then during this time, couldn't touch that car till after 4 o'clock in the evening. Even with that stupid little thing that was supposed to protect us, it was boiling hot. My assistant doesn't get up any earlier than me, so it's impossible to work in the morning. Ridiculous, you know. I could see the time that I had to make something getting smaller and smaller. Oops, sorry. So yeah, it's 8 days to go, and I got my number plates, hoping this works, but it might not. Yeah, noise. This is one of our happy moments.
Hi.
Take your pleasure where you can. Yeah, that was one of the highlights. And so this is like, yeah, like I said, we tried to work at night. We had 3 builders' lights. It was worse than it was trying to do it in daylight, in the sun. I think Sean lasted about 10 minutes under that condition, and we realised you really can't work at night because you really can't see. It creates all kind of shadows. I can tell you what I did put up. I really did spend the next day taking off. So it was a nightmare. Have you got the... So you can see how we ended up working. I can say we sat there dripping in sweat with a fan on us, a wet towel on my head, with about 4 days to go. So yeah, so it gives you an idea of what it was like. So yeah, we've got 3 days to go. We've got everything on the car, but we still got to grout it, and you're the one audience that will appreciate what that involves. So I had to go beyond my artistic mates and call in my family. My son's there, the next one down. There's my mate Mark, his girlfriend. We had 1 day to grout it in. And this, can you do the sound? This is what it was like. So yeah, 1 day of grouting with a big team helped a lot. So we've got 2 days to go, but we still got to get those plates on the side. So yeah, me and Sean were there. And of course, after the lovely sunshine, what did we have? Rain. So I'm trying to stick these plates up, held up with gaffer tape, knowing that they might slide if they get wet. We've got no health and safety, as you can see where I am. I literally spent 10 minutes holding that tarpaulin up like that, feeling like a twat outside my studio just to stop the rain going on it, hoping that they just stuck. There is one that slid, but you'll never notice, hopefully. And then this was the last day. And you'll all know that when you do a mosaic and you grout it, there's so much little bits, especially on a car like this. We could have gone on forever with our little scrapers. We could have been there for hours and hours trying to clean it, but really we just worked all the night to get it done. I even had my friend Mad Fee come insisting I do the windows. Wouldn't listen to me. I told her, well, you're not going to be able to see in there because we're going to, no, I want them clean. So anyway, she did that. This is how it is when you feel like you've finished a job. We were rather pleased with ourselves. But the problems didn't end there, because anyone who's been there will have seen that it's in All Saints Church and they had to get it through these gates. And when I originally went there, I told them, I reckon you're going to have to cut that brick wall down. And they did. They had to. We spent 3 hours trying to slide this into those gates with us. No, because, you know, those plates are so vulnerable to... But yeah, in the end, they literally did have to cut down the side of the wall to get it in. But luckily it is. It's now there. If anyone wants to go to the Biennale, you can see it. It's on display. It's actually displayed better than this. These was done before it was finished. You can see it in all its glory. It has lots of little bits. That means never sleep, which I thought was quite appropriate for a rave. You can see that it's, you know, it was by me and Sean, but also the Treatment Cream Collective. This was like my little bit at the end. And for those who were there for the actual Biennale, for one night only, have you got the music? Hang on. Ready? This is what it looked like. Oh, hang on.
Now we're running like a car bomb.
The first gig I ever had in a nightclub was Shelley's. It was very non-glamorous at that time. Shelley's, I'd always known as just a nightclub.
So for one night only, we managed to create a little bit of a rave, you can see. They did look funny. But unfortunately, the neighbours didn't like it. They shut it down after one night, as you can see. Which I thought was great, because it's a bit like Shelley's, you had to be there, you know. But unfortunately, the artist who made the film was less happy about it and has removed the film, so no one could see that anymore in there. But, you know, all publicity is good publicity, and it's going to be the only time that the British Ceramics Biennale gets in Mixmag, isn't it? So I just want to be able to thank all the people that helped me. These are the people that sponsored that project. This is a plug. It just happens to be on the slide. If anyone does go to Stoke, please, to see the car, please go there as well, because I have an exhibition. And that's the end. Thank you.
It is always a pleasure, Carrie. Are there any questions?
I just was wondering, because it looks like where you made the car was just on an ordinary street. Did no one try and interfere with it or damage it?
Nope. This was our real worry, because every night we were just, for the first couple of weeks, we were just covering it with a bit of old tarpaulin. And then after that, I actually bought a cover for the car. But yeah, spectacularly, nobody ever did anything to it. You know, they just didn't.
It is Chiswick, not Catford, though, right?
Yeah.
What's going to happen to the car afterwards?
I've kind of given the car to the Duchess factory. They're going to become the custodians of it. I don't want another car rotting on my forecourt, if I'm honest. The two I've got mould growing out of them. So, no, it's Stoke-on-Trent. It's inspired by Stoke-on-Trent. It's about Stoke-on-Trent. I made it for Stoke-on-Trent. They're going to be the custodians of it, and I'm hoping that they're going to get to exhibit it in other places. They want to keep it and use it to celebrate Rave and to celebrate Longton and the Duchess China factory.
Hi, Carrie. I wanted to ask you, if you were just starting out with ceramic transfers, where would you go to get the right... Well, you know, like, so if you wanted to make your own ceramic transfers, you hadn't done it before, where would you start?
Well, have you got a kiln? Did you have...
Use of a kiln, yeah.
You have to have a kiln. Basically, heraldic pottery, I think, are now all under the name of Duchess China. You've only got about 2 places you can get ceramic transfers made. One is digital something, but I don't, obviously I work with Duchess and I work with heraldic, so I'm always going to say go to them. But really, you just have to, you send them a JPEG, an A3 of the design, and they print it out for you. And I mean, I think that if you go onto Google and things, there are endless little YouTubes if you just ask how to put a transfer onto a ceramic. I mean,
I think you've put me onto them, and you can send your stuff off, and they can send it back to you on tiles if you want it. So it just depends what that was with.
I would
heraldic.
always use I
with
don't know if
heraldic.
heraldic is now under the name of Duchess, because Duchess is, I think they're renaming themselves all Duchess China as opposed to heraldic and Duchess. But you should go to them and ask them that you want to make some ceramic transfers, because they're the people I always use. I find them to be the best.
And Alice Mara does a lot of transferring on YouTube.
Yeah, there's definitely YouTubes that just show you, but basically it's a process where they send it to you, you float them in water and you float them onto a tile, and then you put them into your kiln.
And can you float them onto a tile you've made yourself?
Yeah, as long as it's glazed, you can.
Yeah.
You can actually use transfers on underglazed stuff. You can put them onto greenware. You can experiment with them. They all burn differently, but ideally it's an on-glaze, is a transfer that goes onto the on-glaze of anything. That's how I get to put it on plates. I put it onto old tiles. Anything you can fire in a kiln that has a glaze, you can put transfers on. Stunned silence.
Any more questions? I want to ask you, if it's all right.
Yes.
Just will you tell us a little bit more about your layering process? Because I think it's one of the things that you do that is very specific to you.
Well,
and it's more that, it's not just one transfer.
No, but also you've got to understand that for 20 years I've been collecting ceramic transfers. I started collecting them off of eBay at a time when the dollar was much better and we got much more money to our dollar. Postage wasn't huge and customs didn't be able to track you down. So I spent at least 5 years buying up all these transfers from America, from Germany, from England, and at the same time, when the potteries were closing, there were people selling off all these transfers. So I literally have spent 20 years amassing them. If you came to my studio, you'd see I have one room that has nothing in it other than filing cabinets and vintage transfers that would have gone on ceramics from the 50s onwards. So I have this huge, wonderful collection they're all made at a time when we used oil-based inking as well. So they're beautiful in colour. You couldn't produce these again. And so what I consider myself to be is, I don't say I'm a mosaic artist. I don't say I'm a ceramicist. I think I'm a fine artist that uses ceramic as a medium. And I consider myself to be a ceramic collage artist, because I'm literally making the coloured tiles and then I'm applying print, and I will use digital printing that has a certain quality, nice for photos, and then I will layer it, and I will layer it with old vintage ones, gold ones I've had screen printed, and they've all got different qualities. And because I've really specialised in that whole idea of print onto tile, I really consider what I do to be a form of collage using ceramic ink. But it also means I'm completely unique, because nobody can actually do what I do, because they haven't got. And if you go on eBay now, you won't be able to buy a single transfer. You can only buy tissue transfers that come from China. There's nothing. It doesn't exist. I bought up some elderly woman's entire lot last week because it was wrongly it was named as something else. But yeah, it's really difficult to get them. I keep thinking, maybe I should just sell, because I've got so many of them, more than I could ever use, really. But it's a bit like having a stamp collection, and also you don't know when you'll use old ones if they work. You float them in water, sometimes they just disintegrate. I've got all these beautiful religious ones that just, you try to use, and
evaporate.
Right.
Any more questions?
Does Fatboy Slim sort of ask about the car?
He does know about it. I've had to send him a really embarrassing email apologising for the fact that it's been reported that it was his car and it was the car from the film, and every single bit of news or every single bit of PR that came out said fat boy on
no.
it. Yeah. I wrote to him and said, I'm really sorry. I told him you donated it. I didn't tell him, you know, and he said, don't worry, I thought it was funny watching it. So I'm about to send him a smiley plate, so hopefully he'll be all right.
All right. Thank
Cool.
you so much.
Excellent.